Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for August 10th. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and I'm here today to update you on everything that happened yesterday on the Big Brother 27 live feeds. It was day 33 in the house, and there was a veto competition that happened. We have a veto winner. We have some campaigning, some back and forth, and lots of complaining, I would say, as well as some punishments that we can kind of talk about. Mary should be joining me shortly, but in the meantime, let's get into the day because there's plenty to talk about here. Of course, as you know, Ava won the HOH. She nominated Keanu, Vince, and Zach for eviction. She plans to nominate Morgan as the replacement. That is the plan. But we have a veto competition to get to, and there's a particular complication that that comes into play here, which is that Zach, as you can see in the graphic, if you're watching the video version of this podcast, has a secret veto power. Ava does not really have a plan for naming two renominations. So if somebody other than Zach wins the veto, or if Zach wins the veto himself, and it's used on somebody that is not Zach, or Zach uses it on somebody that is not himself, he can then also use his veto power, and Ava will not only have to nominate Morgan, but also perhaps somebody like Lauren or something along those lines. And that may or may not be optimal for what she's trying to do, but we will have to wait and see with what happens with this veto competition. So we start the day here with the veto draw. And of course, the main thing we were talking about yesterday was that Morgan was the person that both Zach and Vince wanted to choose for the veto competition. And if Morgan wins the veto competition, she could use the veto on either Vince or Zach, and that would be not amazing for Ava. It would be probably the worst case scenario. It would take away one of the now two renoms she would have to make. And luckily, we have somebody that we can bring in to talk about. It's Mary. How you doing, Mary?
Hey everyone, sorry I'm late. I was rushing back, it's one of those mornings, but I'm here now, so glad to be here.
Mary, unfortunately had a punishment that she had to do in the backyard. She got called away to make some pigs in a blanket. So with the veto draw, of course, we come back and it's actually Katherine. And
yeah, I mean, what was the point of all of the agonizing? All of the agonizing from Morgan about what she was going to do, not even picked.
Truly, Katherine and Will are chosen to play in the veto, and Morgan really did like agonize over like, what would I do? Who would I use it on?
Mm-hmm.
Should I use it on Vince? Should I use it on Zach? I'm definitely going to use it on someone. And she's talking to like everyone about this, and it gets back to Ava, and then she's not even chosen to play in the veto, which only further solidifies Ava's resolve to put Morgan on the block if somebody wins the veto, even in the face of Mickey coming up and trying to talk her out of it. In the morning here, Mickey tries to talk to Ava and says, I don't know. She basically does the thing that she has used in the past to convince, say, Lauren. Like, hey, I just don't know if it'll look very good for you to put up Morgan. I don't know what people would think about that. And like these tactics that she's used in the past. Ava's response, nah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. I think it's funny because I guess maybe this is me just looking at it a little surface level, a little stereotypical, but I feel like someone like Ava, if you look at Ava, if you're around Ava for 2 seconds, you're like, maybe the sort of peer pressure idea of like, oh, but what are people going to think if you do something like that? Not going to work on someone like Ava, probably. Doesn't
Yeah.
give off the vibes of a person who really cares about what other people think that much.
Eh. Oh well, that's what I'm
Eh,
doing now. If
I
she has a problem with my nominations, she can be one of them.
Yes. And I know, Taran, that you've already mentioned on some of these updates, like the Ava does overcorrect a little into, I think, a slightly dangerous territory of like she kind of um qualifies everything she says to people like, that's okay if you don't like it. You can just put me up. I'll just be on the block next week. It's like, hey, you don't need to put that out there though. That's okay. We can rein that part in.
I mean, she continues to really not have many conversations outside of her small circle here, which is definitely not going to be the best for her game. Really, like the crew in general are spending a lot of time talking to each other and not really enough time using the advantage that they currently have, being in the power position to really get in there and find the cracks in the other group. So disappointing there. Of course, it's still a very valuable HOH, but I will continue to mention that there are a lot of missed opportunities here. Not missed opportunities in the sense that they're targeting their own alliance, but some definite missed opportunities.
The problem is,
Speaking of,
Taryn, that you're ranking everyone against like optimal gameplay, and I don't
mhm,
know that anyone in this house is going to play optimally.
exactly. That's I have to qualify it because criticizing this gameplay is like normal criticism versus like the other entire world of awfulness
Yes.
that was the rest of it. Um, but basically what this does, if you don't bother to really even talk to the other side, get in there, get that information, elicit some deals and all that stuff, it's kind of, you are getting a little bit of this like, well, who do we choose? Zach,
Mhm.
Vince, who do we choose? And that's good. That can cause some rifts. But if you're not in there continuing to exploit those rifts, it can also kind of just bond the rest of them together even more. We're seeing that a little bit, certainly with Keanu, who has been skeptical of Vince in the past, but now that Vince is on the block and vulnerable, Keanu's kind of like, I'd rather have you than Zach. And is really bonding him even more to Vince, to the point where he has already offered, potentially, if I win this veto, maybe I could take you off the block so that we can send Zach home because I'm sure I'll have the votes against him. He also talks to Vince today about the competition and how if they are going to have some kind of elimination competition,
Mhm.
who should we eliminate first, Vince? And he's like, I don't know, like Will. And Keanu's like, Vince, no, we're eliminating Zach. We don't want Zach to win. Zach's a bigger threat in the competition. Oh my god, people. And continues to talk to Vince about how they can keep both of them and make sure that Zach is the one that leaves this week.
So I'm just hoping week after week, because this is Keanu's what, third or fourth time being on the block now. What week are
It
we in?
is
Fourth.
his fourth time being on the block of 5.
So people have tried, Rachel's tried, other people have tried to inform Keanu that he's not as safe as he thinks he is. Now, he has won his safety off the block. I'm trying to think. He has not yet gotten to a point where it is him at the end of the week still sitting on the block. No.
Yeah, he
Okay.
hasn't even
So
competed in a blockbuster.
right. So I understand the confidence in winning a challenge. The thing that's throwing me is the confidence in having votes to stay when it seems, at least on a very surface level, like Keanu, everyone clearly thinks you're expendable enough to keep nominating you. So you can't possibly feel as safe as you think you do. And I think Vince tries and other people try when they're talking to Keanu, like, I don't I don't know that we want you to be there at the end, like sitting on the block. That might not be good for you. Actually, I think it's a different conversation where someone brings that up, but he's just not getting it. And I would love to have that level of delusional confidence in all aspects of my life, I think.
Yeah, he talks to Vince about this, and he talks about the votes that they can probably count on to take Zach out. And he's talking about Rachel, and Vince is like, "We can't trust Rachel. Rachel's the one behind all of this." And Keanu's like, "Oh, that's Mickey, dude. Rachel is not behind this. I have Rachel." Vince is like, "No, I'm telling you, Rachel is like running this house. She's got everyone against me." And Keanu goes, "That's funny because that's exactly the same thing she says about you guys." Oh God.
Yeah, and he's like, "Yeah, because Rachel is coming after me. That's why she's saying that." And he's just like, "Oh, so funny."
After Vince leaves, Keanu goes to the cameras and just like, "Man, these people, they don't even know basic strategy. I have to explain everything to them."
Yeah.
So
But
yes.
like this, and then this is the thing. Like, I can understand why someone like Keanu would just have the wrong read on a house. The thing that is shocking to me is he's having the wrong read in the face of clear evidence that he's not at the top of the food chain because he's being nominated over and over by different people.
Yep. You know.
So, and I mean, at this point, look, there was a while where you're thinking, oh, he doesn't necessarily listen to what the women are saying, but this is Vince saying it. So, is there anyone that you think in this house who could tell Keanu that he's not in a good spot and that he would believe it?
Of course not.
Okay.
Julie Chen could tell him, and he'd be like, "Julie."
I think I've done a 180 on him. I kind of want Keanu to stay for the rest of the game. I'm down with it. I think this is fun.
So we get to the veto competition, and we find out, you may have already seen some things, you may have heard some things, you may have inferred from what I talked about at the start of this podcast. It was the Yankee swap competition, where in this particular version, they are like shooting things into score zones. Person with the lowest score is eliminated, chooses a prize or punishment, so on and so forth. So we have some results. Vince did not win the competition. He got stuck in an egg costume.
The hard-boiled.
The hard-boiled egg detective.
Because we're sort of doing a hotel murder mystery kind of thing. So I like that some of these costumes, you could stretch it. I like this one. I couldn't tell from watching, like, what material is that made out of? Is it like hard? Is it like plastic?
It's
or is
pretty
it like
soft, I think. Although, I mean, it's hard enough that it's like he's got like an under layer. He's on the feeds right now wearing the underfit, and then he's got like a harder shell that comes over. Styrofoam, I guess, is maybe what he has talked about. It also comes with like a little stool or like wheelie thing of some sort. It is pretty funny.
What's funny is I was watching the feeds and I heard him talking about like, I don't want my whole edit to just be about me and eggs. And I was like, what? And that was before he got the costume. And then when he got the costume, I then understood. And I was like, why is he talking about eggs? What did I miss?
He's also like perfect for it because of the mustache.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Like it's giving Master of Disguise, you know?
Yeah, yes, 100%.
And it really works. And it's also perfect because he's been so mopey all week. And he's like the edit mastermind, quote unquote. And now he's stuck in an egg costume when he's on the
giving, is this turtle costume turtly enough for the Turtle Club?
like I got to the point where I was feeling kind of bad for him, but then he kept complaining about things, which we'll talk about later, and I was like, all right. So Vince is in the egg costume. He did not win this competition. Keanu also did not win the veto. First time he has not won the veto, not had the veto in the last 3 weeks. He also got a punishment. He is the butler. This one's a little small. Let me try and I couldn't find any good screenshots of this.
It's hard to
see. You can see the bottom right there. Let me see if I can get another image
like
as well.
Giving weird centaur.
Yeah, He's got a tray that is resting on his enlarged buttocks.
Uh-huh. But they kind of just like it's not when I first saw it, I thought it would be sort of like big pants that go down, but it's sort of more like it just like kind of sticks out. It's like a shelf behind him.
It is. He's got a shelf for
Mm-hmm.
sure. He is going to have to make food for people, which is a very funny punishment, particularly for Keanu. You know, that is what Keanu's got going on.
Yeah. Between these two, which would you rather have?
The egg for sure.
Does the egg have to do anything else, or is it just the costume?
I believe it's just the costume.
Yeah, that one's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's also just way funnier. I don't know. I think it's way funnier.
I think it's funnier in a like there's degrees, right, to the silliness of Big Brother. Everyone, make sure if you haven't already, check out Maggie Morgan's video about why it's embarrassing to be a Big Brother fan. And this kind of fits in there where it's like some of it's funny, like, oh, hard boiled because we're doing this theme. I get it, yada yada. You wear the silly costumes, but then sometimes when it's like, okay, he's got a big butt and he's walking around, like, what are we doing? Like, how do you explain this to your person that you're trying to get interested in this show?
You buy this book for them called Behind the Mirror, Inside the World of Big Brother, that explains how sometimes the silliness does detract from the show, but there are other very interesting things and concepts that you can get from it.
The show is weirdly edited, like for middle schoolers sometimes, but then also very not other times. It's very confusing. You know, I was just, the reason I was rushing back, I was just at my brother-in-law's house, and his mom loves Taran, has, by the way, ordered the book. So Be Like Anne Hall and John, ordered the book. And I was talking, and we were trying to explain to my dad, the two of us, of like how Big Brother is also very good and compelling. And he's like, yeah, I just don't, the slime and the costumes. Oh, well, we tried.
Mm-hmm. Well, Ava also did not win the competition. She got $5,000, which is very fun. Will also did not win the competition. He got a trip to London, which was actually given to him by Zach, which means that either Zach or Katherine won the veto competition. Zach did not win the veto competition. He got a punishment, one of those like do a thing in the backyard for an extended period of time punishments, which means that Katherine wins the Power of Veto this week. And oh boy, what does this mean? Interesting things.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it was surprising. It seemed like a lot of people weren't anticipating it. I'll have to see exactly how the competition really shook out, because I think a lot of times these types of competitions, the present swap one or whatever, there's a lot of decisions made in the moment that, a few hours later already has instant regret. I think there's a lot of times where it's like, oh, if I give someone this prize and I take this punishment, they're going to, feel so indebted to me. Sometimes that works out, sometimes it doesn't. But I think that more often than not, we'll have someone win this type of competition who it always seems a little bit like, hey, maybe you should have talked to that person ahead of time, because now we have no idea what they're going to do with the veto. And I don't know. I mean, at least from what I saw, I don't recall Ava having a conversation with Katherine before this about like exactly what she would or would not do.
Not particularly. I would say she did talk with Katherine. But the thing is that one of the first things we see when we get back from the competition is that Ava doesn't really care.
Yeah.
Ava is talking to Will. I don't care. She can use the veto if she wants. I know who my replacement nominee is going to be, and I'm happy about it. In fact, if anything, it's almost as though she wants the veto to be used because she wants to renom Morgan. Now, that isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world except for the fact that she still does not know about Zach's 10K veto
Yes.
power, which means that if Katherine uses this veto on, say, Vince or Keanu, and it probably would be most likely to be like Vince at this point, if she were to use it. That means that Vince comes off the block, is replaced by Morgan. Then Zach uses his 10K veto power, and surprise, she needs to name another replacement nominee. Probably Lauren. And again, that's not necessarily the optimal outcome for the week that I think she was hoping for. And who really knows? Also, like, she could just panic and do something wild. Unbeknownst to Ava, it's fairly important that Kat does not use this power. And she doesn't really care. She has no intention of pushing Katherine in any particular direction. Luckily for her, Katherine, as of right now, does not plan to use it. She doesn't really have any incentive to, and plans to not use the veto.
If Katherine was going to use it, or I guess it kind of doesn't matter either way, does Zach's power need to be used before the veto declaration of whether or not it's being used happens?
I believe they said at the end of the veto ceremony. Because at the time I was like, oh, it's like a god idol. So basically, if the veto is not used on him, he can then use his veto to save himself. Now, this would, of course, mean that he has to give 10K to Ava, which means all of a sudden this week she's up 15K.
Yeah, is that the most that an HOH has made? I'm trying to think of like what's one prize that someone has gotten in a week if it's more than that.
I feel like Eric Stein might have. He was only HOH during like a double though.
Yeah.
Then Derek with Team America might have made some bonus money, but I don't remember exactly how many or how much. But yeah, it's definitely up there.
Yeah, it's not bad for sure. I mean, at that point, she's made more than most people will in the season. Yeah, I don't know. I think that Katherine at this point, it definitely seems like isn't probably going to use it. Now, the bigger thing that I'm more interested in, which comes out in this Ava and Will conversation, is that Will does say multiple times that he feels pretty indebted to Zach for giving him the trip. Do you think that that's actually going to matter in the long run?
So this is a story throughout the day, is that Zach gave Will this London trip. Because, and I believe, I imagine that this is not just Zach taking the veto from, whatever. Like, he allowed Will to keep his trip essentially, or gave him the trip in some capacity, right? So Will feels particularly indebted, and he promised Zach that he would not vote him out if he allowed him to keep the trip, and he plans to uphold that promise. Zach is also in under the assumption that this deal also came with, I will get the veto used on you and go up in your place this week.
Right.
Which is not happening, and is not something that Will ever even really, from what we saw, proposed to Ava. But Zach said, Will said that Ava said no.
Yeah. Yeah, there was one point where Will literally said, like, it's going to be hard for me to go against him in the game. Like, not even like this week, but just
that's
total.
that's what he says to Keanu.
To
Keanu
Keanu.
approaches him about, hey, are you good to vote for me to stay? And Will was like, sorry, I can't vote against Zach. I can't go against him in this game. And Keanu's like, in this game?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, like until I leave or he leaves.
Yeah, that worries me a little. Maybe he'll change his mind at some point, but yeah, that's a little rough. I don't think that obviously Will has any plans, or that Ava would ever put Will on the block in place of Zach. I don't think that would ever happen. So I think that part's fine. But I just don't love the lack of drive from Will to game a little bit more here.
Yeah, I mean, I also again don't know like how super honest he's being about it. But it is, you know, a story throughout the day. So Katherine with the veto does not plan to use it as of right now. Vince would certainly love to try to convince her to use it. He does not end up approaching her during the day yesterday, day 33. He plans to approach her today, day 34. So stay tuned for an update on that tomorrow. Vince's best hope of staying obviously is getting the veto used on him. And that would be pretty bad for Ava, again, because of Zach's power. So given that Ava doesn't plan to push Katherine to not use it, Vince is kind of free to promise Katherine anything, Katherine and Riley even, and get them to think, hey, this is kind of a win-win. Ava doesn't mind because she gets to nominate Morgan, and we get some stuff out of Vince, who we do still trust. So I would say genuinely stay tuned for that. But throughout this day, it's mostly like we're looking at Morgan quite a lot because she is having some trouble.
Yes, and I did want to call out one thing that she said. This was before the veto, but I thought this was interesting. Or actually, it might have been after the veto. It might be coming up. I'll wait in case you talk about it. Never mind.
All right. Well, if you recall, Morgan the night before had a conversation with Mickey, and they were talking about Zach versus Vinny. And Mickey informed Morgan about the Bond alliance. Now, Morgan had been pretty pushy for Vinny to stay. But Mickey had been sort of like pushing in the opposite direction. Mickey was kind of frustrated with the fact that the two of them might doubt her culpability in this whole situation. And by the end of the conversation, they had sort of like not really agreed on anything. So coming into today, Morgan is still thinking about the conversation, and she's thinking about like, when she was going like back and forth between Vinny and Zach, who do I use the veto on? It's also now, who do I evict? And she's starting to think, all right, maybe I should consider evicting Vince. If he's making alliances without me, if strategically he's not with me in the way that I thought he was, then maybe I do just choose Zach over him. Maybe that's where everyone wants to be going anyway. And so she's starting to lean in that direction. Her only hangup, of course, is Lauren. Because if she chooses Zach, is he going to choose Lauren over her? And according to Keanu, obviously he would.
It's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. She says a couple times, I know she has the conversation with Keanu. There's another one where she's talking about it, and she's like, yeah, I'm not even sure who he would choose between me and Lauren. And every time she says that, the person she's talking to is like, pretty sure it's obvious who he would choose. There was a really funny moment where she just walked out of the room right when Keanu said that. And I was like, she just doesn't want to hear it. She just is waiting for someone to say, oh, I'm sure maybe it would be you. Maybe it'd be you. And one of the conversations she has with Zach in the morning, she literally tells him after the veto draw, but before the veto, she's like, yeah, it's probably good I wasn't drawn, because I don't know if I could have made the choice between the two of you. Why are you saying this? Why are you saying this out loud to Zach? Why are you saying this to anyone? This is an inside your own head thought. Don't say this one outside.
It doesn't also help that Zach is openly flirty with Lauren throughout the day. Like, some of the most flirty they've ever been. He's asking her about like taking her out on a date again and all of that stuff. So she kind of goes back to Mickey and she's like, listen, I think I'm down to keep Zach over Vinny, but I'm just concerned about this Lauren thing. And Mickey says, actually, I also changed my mind. I want Vinny to stay now. And Morgan's like, what? I've been agonizing over this whole time and you changed your mind. She's like, yeah, I just needed to sit with the information a little longer. And so,
and I
yeah.
don't know if it's actually true, but it feels a little bit like the more that Morgan hangs out with Zach and debates and wants to keep him there is another reason why people are like, yeah, well, if we got Zach out, Morgan, that would not be good for Morgan. So, like, it seems like that's if you make it obvious who you want to keep, people might be inclined to do the opposite just to screw you over.
Yeah, and again, I think this decision kind of comes down to, again, Zach being a little flirty with Lauren throughout the day. Now there's concerned again about the Zach Lauren connection. They're not as on top of like remembering the Vinny Lauren connection. They think that Keanu likes Zach, even though he's campaigning against him, and they don't quite yet see that Keanu is linked to Vinny more. Mickey also feels like Zach should still be better in competitions, even though he hasn't performed quite as well yet, and would be harder to beat in a final two, which, again, Mickey talks about way too much, like who I can beat in the final two, and never talks about the person she's talking with being in the final two with her. But so Mickey brings this up, and Morgan's like, "Well, now I'm really like, you think we should go in that direction?" And Mickey's like, "Yeah, I just needed some time to think it over." And Morgan's like, "All right, I need to think about this now." And so Morgan, after flip flopping a little bit around, it comes eventually landing back onto keeping Vince. Now, another part of this decision as well comes from the fact that Zach has this punishment. Remember, he is going into the backyard and doing a thing for an extended period of time. It finished, honestly, just a couple of hours ago, maybe even not that much in real time. So it was all night. And he did it with Rachel. So the two of them were MIA for quite a while throughout the afternoon, into the night, into the morning. And the feeds were not on this at all in what is a pretty frustrating turn of events. Literally, like, the one redeeming feature of these punishments, because they're going to take up so much time in the episode and be incredibly boring, is that it can often be fun to watch this extended endurance punishment on the feeds, and they decided not to have it on there at all. I've not been a person that's been like, oh, Big Brother Unlocked is keeping things from us, but I swear to you, if they put this on Unlocked, I'm going to riot. And really, I don't even want to see it on the episode. I don't care. I'm done with this. What are we doing? Why is this not on the feeds?
The purpose of the feeds should be to be able to watch the long versions of things that we will get short edited versions of. I mean, personally, I'd be of the opinion, like, show all the comps, all of the challenges, show everything on feeds. Like, that'd be great. No reason not to. Yeah. It's like not just endurance ones. Like, let's see a lot of them. That'd be cool.
So we will see about that. For the record, I doubt this was specifically for Unlocked. I think this was more for the episode. Because what are they even going to show on it? Like, this is going to be in the episode. It's not the gooing, like that was the Unlocked specific thing, but that's why. Like, don't even think about it. So Rachel, so not only is Zach gone, but Rachel's also gone. And this is very bad for Zach, because he's not present to campaign for himself, and Rachel isn't present to keep reminding people, no, Vinny is locked in with Lauren. Vinny is locked in with Keanu. You can't trust Vinny. And you see this. Now, so we see that Mickey is campaigning for Vinny to stay now. She does campaign to Rachel before the punishment. Rachel pushes back, of course, and rats her out to Ava, saying, hey, Mickey's trying to campaign to keep Vinny. Ava is surprised, but she's really just still pretty hands off. Like, I I made the block a clean, fair, square block. That I'm the only HOH to do that, and whatever they want to do, they can do. And so that's happening there. Mickey also pushes this with Ashley and Will. And at first, they are pushing back. However, over the course of the day, when Rachel is absent, Mickey makes more progress on Ashley and manages to sway her to her side with some of these arguments about Zach potentially being stronger in competitions, and also that Lauren is a problem and that Zach is more connected to Lauren. This is what really seems to hook Ashley onto this. And then the two of them go and try to convince Will of the same thing. Will, though, of course, pushes back, saying, well, I promised Zach I'm not going to vote him out. And they're like, he was trying to vote against you last week. And he's like, yeah, but still. And so that's, kind of where things are standing there. Now, of course, this doesn't super matter as long as Zach uses his power, which is a question mark for some people, but we'll table that for now. If we assume that Zach is going to use his power, this doesn't really matter because Zach will be off the block and Morgan will be on the block, and it will be a new calculus. So we don't need to go too deep into the Zach versus Vinny stuff yet, at least. But it does matter, at least to some degree, if you can, put it onto what if this translates a little bit to Vince versus Morgan.
Right. Because the thing you want to be careful about is campaigning against Zach in such a way that makes it an argument for why Vinny should just stay blanket statement no matter who he's against. It's like we need Rachel or someone to still be feeding the, hey, okay, fine, whatever your thoughts about Zach. But if it's Vinny there at the end, we still need to be looking at Vinny, assuming Zach has gotten himself off the block for blockbuster or whatever. And so we need to keep that target alive, kind of.
Mm-hmm. So they're talking about that. When Will talks about his Zach thing, he also, again, we mentioned he talks to Keanu about this. Keanu does his own bit of campaigning, investigating. He talks to Riley. Riley promises him his vote, although who knows what that even means. He talks to Will, and Will says, I've got Zach. I've got him in this game now. And Keanu says, okay, I can understand that. Will does say, but don't worry, if Zach wins the blockbuster, I got you. So Keanu also talks to Kelly, and Kelly promises him her vote, even if it's against Vince. She says, I'm telling Vince he has my vote, but I don't forget what he did with the vote. I will remember that, and I will remember how you've stuck with me, and he has not, essentially. So, assuming that's true, that actually is a very important vote for a Keanu versus Vince final, eviction vote, because there is a world where it is like 4 votes to evict Vince, 5 votes to evict Keanu, and Kelly makes the 5th vote to evict Vince, and it goes to a tie, and Ava breaks the tie to evict Vince. Like it could be that close, and we can get into more details there later. But this is a very important vote promise here that we're seeing.
Yeah, and unlike Keanu, I think Kelly has seen, based on actions and evidence, oh, Vince doesn't have my best interests at heart, actually. So, yeah. And I'm trying to think, I mean, realistically speaking, besides Lauren, who else really benefits from having Vince in the game?
Not many people.
Yeah. Who are people that Vince is not going to turn on and throw under the bus? I mean, the thing is, I think Vince would turn on anybody if it was him versus them. So when you have such a self-interested player like that, it can be easy to know where they're at, which is useful, but you cannot trust them, which is wild considering how many people do trust him or had in the past at least trusted him.
I mean, I actually don't hate the idea, especially like Zach versus Vince. I don't mind Keanu preferring Zach to go. I actually feel like that could make some sense for Keanu. And actually the same thing for Morgan. I think that Morgan versus Vince, it makes a little more sense for Keanu that Morgan goes, because Keanu's such a big target anyway, and he has enough of a working relationship with Vince that Vince has become enough of a target that it's actually kind of beneficial for Keanu to keep him in. Hasn't always been the case, and you have to be very careful about this because it can quickly shift from, oh, he's a good target beside me, to wait a minute, he's running the game again, and that's when things get really risky. But for the most part, I think most people benefit from Vince leaving here. So the thing is, Keanu doesn't see that, and now that he's gotten some promises about the vote, he feels a little more confident to approach Vinny about this plan again. And he talks to Morgan about this as well, that he, previously was thinking about potentially winning this veto competition and using it on Vince. He's now talking about, I could throw the blockbuster to you, Vince, to make sure that I end up on the block against Zach, because I feel like I have the votes more than you do. And so he's talking about that. He backed off of this idea because he was like, maybe I shouldn't do that, because now that Zach did that veto competition thing where he gave the prize to Will, nobody's going to vote him out anymore. But then he did this investigation and he got some more promises, and like, actually, I'm feeling a little more confident again. I think I could still potentially beat Zach in a vote. So I'm considering the throwing of the blockbuster once more.
I don't think he would legitimately actually do this, but it is wild that he is actually even saying it and bringing it up.
Yes.
The only burst of logic I could say would be somehow this could lull Vinny into a false sense of security during the competition. If you're like really big braining it, where he's like, I'm trying to make him feel safe so that I then come out and beat him. But like, almost every other outcome is just bad with this. Yeah. Because even if Vince were to go tell other people, wow, Keanu says that he's going to do this, people are like, what is Keanu doing? All right, fine. We'll just vote him out then if he's playing this way.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that, again, given that we can anticipate that Zach may use this power, none of this conversation even matters anyway.
Yeah.
Keanu does talk
and
to
that's
Morgan.
why my brain is always thinking about the scenario where, and again, I don't think Keanu would actually do this, but that it's not Keanu, Vince, and Zach on the block at this point. It's, okay, Zach has already come down, someone else, let's say Morgan has already gone up, so it's Morgan, Vince, and Keanu at this point. I don't think Keanu would obviously throw that competition in that instance, but like when he's saying things like this, that is the calculus my brain is doing, is subbing in a different person instead of Zach, because Zach's not going to be there anyway.
Exactly. So Keanu does talk to Morgan and Vinny about some of the stuff, especially while Zach is doing the punishment. And again, in that conversation, defends Rachel, saying that he believes that Rachel is not a part of the group that they are talking about. He thinks it's all Mickey, the group being Mickey, Will, Ava, Ashley. Keanu vouches for Rachel there. And after he leaves, Morgan and Vinny are like, this is kind of a problem that Keanu believes in Rachel so much. For Vinny's part throughout the day, it's a lot of moping. For as good as the day was for him, with him versus Zach, not a lot of it his own doing. It's sort of like his previous work standing in for him, because he spends the day complaining about Ava and how worthless she is in the game, and how it's not fair that she walked into an HOH win and now he's on the block because of it. He cares a lot more about being there than she does, and other people like her, all of these people that they're working with. Rachel is such an annoying person to him in the house. She's like, floaters grab a life vest, but now she is the life vest. She's working with all the floaters. And it's he just wanted to come here to prove that he could be good at this. And it's not fair for him to leave pre-jury. It's not fair for them to be talking about who should make it to jury, because none of them should make it to jury because they don't care as much.
It's not fair that he came here to prove how good he was, and then it turns out he's actually not as good as he thought he was, and that other people actually have autonomy. It's not fair.
Well, that's not even true though, because they don't have autonomy. It's all Rachel.
Oh. So which is it? Is it that Rachel is a floater and can't do anything and is not making any sense, or that she's running the whole game?
She's working with all the floaters.
Okay. Okay. And what are you doing, Vince?
I'm just trying to like talk to people. That's all. I just people talk to me. They bring me in for one-on-ones. It just looks like I'm doing too much.
Okay. Okay. Right. But so like other people though, they're when they're having one-on-ones, but they're not really gaming because they don't really care. Only you
Well,
care.
did they audition for the show 8 years in a row? I don't think
Uh-huh.
so.
Uh-huh. Right. Right. Yeah. Um Vince, is this why you don't have a job? Because all you've done is audition for the show and live at home?
Stop bullying me. I had
Oh, I'm
friends since
sorry.
first grade,
I'm
okay?
sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bully you. I'm sorry. This is ridiculous. Like it's I don't I think on the surface a decent amount of his gameplay, he's got a skill, clearly, you know? But the whininess, whine or whine, am I right? Like it's all Vince all the time whining. Ah,
Yeah, like it's so frustrating to me because I do think that he is the biggest fan in the house, and I do think that he has potential and still could go on to win this game.
yeah.
But he's so frustrating in the ways in which, because like you can't argue to me that this is good for his gameplay. He's wasting a ton of time doing it to people that he's already locked in with. Um, and and it definitely like tracks with like what he's saying to himself and what he is saying to other people, and it's just like, dude, just come on, really? Like Ava just made the best move an HOH has made all season, and you think that this is the least valuable thing? Own up to where you are in the house. If you are trying to be a good player and you're talking about how you care the most and you know the most, isn't it kind of good gameplay to get you on the block this week? Like, come on.
Yeah, but people have a really hard time seeing themselves in a light that doesn't make them look good. People have a hard time, and I know I would too, about like playing a game and then even wanting to hear from anyone else that other things were happening that were not what they were aware of. And so when you're faced with that in person of I've now been put on the block, I was up here, now I'm down here, and it's by a person that I don't respect the gameplay of. I understand the emotional reason why he's feeling the way he is, but it makes it very hard to root for someone like that when what you want, obviously, in a perfect world, is for someone to face the adversity with a type of like uh go get 'em attitude of like, I'm gonna get my way out of this. I'm such a fan of the game and I want to be here so bad that I'm going to do something to get my way out of this instead of just complaining about where I'm at.
I don't mind the petulance. I don't mind the frustration. If he said, F Ava, I'm so mad at her, I'd be like, listen, she put you up. She even said herself, be mad at me. It's the arguments that you're using. Like that's what's bugging me. It's like it's not just F Ava, it's she doesn't even deserve to be here. Like it's the looking down on her.
Mhm.
Not even giving her the respect of being angry with her. That is like, God, like that's where you lose me, dude. But this is where Vince is. He is also very suspicious again that Mickey has a lot to do with this. He has noticed that Ava is using some of like Mickey's words, like idiosyncrasies, some of her the way that she talks, her body language, as she's saying please and stuff. And so he really feels like Ava obviously is very close with Mickey, and so if Mickey is pretending to not be involved in this, he doesn't really believe it.
Yeah. Um I am a little bit surprised
Quasi,
with
sorry, Quasi was the one.
I am a little surprised with how much Mickey has been able to re-ingratiate herself. Um I think it does explain a little bit more about what Ava was doing last week, where it seemed on the surface it was so bad for her game to be so fine with what Mickey was doing. But it seems like if she just really is truly very close with Mickey, that does make a little more sense of why she was doing that. But I am surprised that other people like Ashley, like Will, like Rachel even have not been kind of holding Mickey's feet a little bit more to the fire to what she did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just also like one more thing on the Vince Ava thing. It's like he's so mad at her but like she's also like, dude, she convinced you to not keep Adrian when you really should have. Like, she is for sure outplayed you at this point, in multiple ways, now putting you on the block. If she's a nobody who sleeps all day and isn't playing the game, then what does that make you, Vince? Because
Well, and the other thing
you've
is,
been outplayed by her.
right, if you're upset with Ava, you would think then the logical conclusion is I'm now against Ava, meaning at some point I need her out. It's going to be a lot easier to get Ava out if you're saying, wow, she really got me. Look, Ava's playing harder than we all thought she would, rather than saying, she doesn't even want to be here. It's not fair. She doesn't deserve this as much as I do. You're not putting the correct type of target and spin on this. It's like pick a side. Either be so aware that you're like, wow, that was a good move, actually. Good job, Ava. Maybe we can put aside our differences and try to build something there, or say, I'm coming for you. Wow, she's playing harder than we thought she was. But if you're playing this weird, like, I'm mad and it's because I don't think she's that good and I'm telling other people this, it's like, well, she's not a target. You're not benefiting from any relationship with her. And you're also making yourself look like just a whiner.
Mm-hmm. So that's really where Vince is throughout the day. Now, Zach's punishment did end, as I mentioned, just a little bit ago. I was not able to catch the full conversation he had with Morgan and then Vince. It was right before the update started, basically. But from what I was seeing, he spent a lot of time with Rachel, and he's not really mad at her anymore. In fact, he's thinking a bit more highly of her. He says that he thinks that they can pull Rachel in, and she might even be like a vote for them this week. That if they can get Rachel on their side, that would be very good. And that Vinny is kind of the problem here. Vinny needs to chill on Rachel so that they can get her on board. So whatever Rachel said to him over the course of those like 12 hours or whatever was very effective, seemingly. And we also find out that Rachel volunteered to do the punishment with Zach. And she said that she wanted to so that she could get 12 uninterrupted hours of being able to talk to him. When Morgan finds out about this, I kid you not, she goes, oh, yeah, I didn't realize you were asking for volunteers. If I had known, I would have volunteered.
Morgan, stop.
I thought you were just picking.
Stop. It's embarrassing. Stop.
I would have done it with you.
No.
Oh no, we're handcuffed together.
No, stop. Morgan, no, please grow up. Yeah, I did like when Rachel was saying like, oh, this is going to give me a chance to talk to him for a while, which could have been good from several different angles. I mean, we've already talked about the downsides of her not being able to kind of run point on keeping Vince as a target here. But what she is doing is actually having probably some good bonding time. And that is something underrated that I don't think has been mentioned enough about Rachel this season, is that she does in a lot of personal conversations does do a really good job of like kind of cutting through some people's perceptions with her and then getting to like a more personal spot where people can at least be like, I might be not working with Rachel, but she's not a bad person, whatever. I think that's good. So having a whole bunch of time with Zach, who she hasn't had a lot of bonding time with, I think is good. She also is going to, be able to make sure, clock who is talking to him and everything, which is also good. So I think there were a lot of benefits here. But yeah, just embarrassing from Morgan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, then they also did like oh, I'm also fake mad at you for not giving me a hug and giving someone else a hug earlier. He's like, okay, and he gives her a hug, and she's like, oh, it's not enough to make it up, and it's a joke, but so So
Ugh.
that's where things seems to stand here. That again, Zach has this veto power, and so heading into the veto ceremony, if Katherine does stay here and decide to not use the veto, which again could change if Vince successfully manages to convince her to use it, then all of this could be for naught. But as of right now, if she plans to not use it, the question becomes, does Zach still use his power? If he thinks he's safe, people do think there's a chance he might not use it. Now, that would obviously be a ridiculous idea, because not only do we know that he has lots of votes against him as of right now, but it's also just like, this is not Survivor. This is not a hidden immunity idol. This is Big Brother. This is the first time in 5 weeks that you're in this position. It could be another 5 weeks before you get in this position again, and the power would be useless. You are potentially one of 2 people vulnerable. Things could change. It's a Monday when you make this decision. There is no world in which you should not use this power. But people think he might not. He is talking like he's pretty confident. That could be because he thinks he has the votes, or it could be because he knows he's going to play this. I think he's going to play it. When talking with Vince just a little bit ago, he did mention like, hey, I think that we should focus on ourselves and making sure that we are safe ourselves. And so I think that he plans to use this. He will come off the block. He will say, sorry, I didn't tell you guys about it, but look, now we have a better chance of surviving. And that's why, Vince, I've been trying to get you to get on Rachel's good side so that we can get Rachel to vote to keep you, so on and so forth. So I think he will use it. If he does, Morgan goes up, and then we have to look at the votes.
Yes.
And that's where things definitely get pretty interesting. In the scenario where it is Vince versus Keanu. I already talked about this with Kelly's vote potentially being important. You obviously would have, or should have, Ashley, Rachel, Will as locked-in votes against Vince. You then, if Kelly is telling the truth, would have 4 with Kelly. And then if Mickey holds with that group and votes out Vince, that would be 5 for Vince. And then Ava can break a tie, because theoretically you would have Morgan, Zach, and then Riley and Katherine. Like, where do they stand in all of this? They could vote against Keanu there. They like Vince more than they like Keanu. So that's important to note. Lauren, of course, a vote for Vince to stay. So Kelly's vote is important. Katherine and Riley's votes are important. Mickey's vote is important there, because there is a chance that Mickey votes Keanu out over Vince. And quite frankly, at this point, Keanu is a huge threat to Mickey's game. If he wins HOH, he plans to target her. So there's a lot of play there in that vote. Then you have Vince versus Morgan, which is also a little bit strange. You kind of should guarantee Mickey's vote against Vince in that scenario, because it seems less likely that she would vote against Morgan compared to Vince. But then it's harder to rely on Katherine and Riley, because they don't really like Morgan and they do like Vince. You then would definitely, I think, have Lauren and Zach voting against Morgan. And even Kelly might be a vote against Morgan in that spot. So you're kind of relying on, you just frankly might not have the votes. There's a world where it is Katherine, Keanu, Kelly, Lauren, and Riley and Zach. 6 votes, with only 4 votes against Vince. And Morgan could leave over Vince there in that spot.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, because I do think Katherine and Riley are going to be ending up to be some very interesting votes here. I could see a world, I don't know that they're thinking about it this way, where Katherine and Riley, if their main goal is to stay off the block, probably should keep Keanu around, knowing that more people are likely to nominate Keanu in a place that could be taken up by Katherine or Riley. Now, that's a very, like, short-sighted kind of just
I mean,
keep me off the block
there's no
way of
world where
looking at it,
Katherine and
but
Riley should want Keanu out. He is dedicated to Riley
yes.
in absurd ways.
But it's what are the reasons that they're going to be thinking about for Keem? Because I don't think they realize, like, I don't think they
Oh,
believe or care that much that he's so on their side in the way he
so
is.
so there was a very interesting conversation, and I say interesting, between Riley and Morgan, where they were trying to like out virtue each other, with Morgan, talking about like,
Oh, my favorite thing.
I'm not just a model, and people don't talk to me about my personal things enough. And Riley was like, yeah, and I'm just the best person you've ever met in your life. I just want everyone to be happy, and Catherine's my girl. You know what I mean? And so, I just approach life that way, where I'm really the best person I know. And he talks about how, and I don't really like Keanu. I don't really like the way he plays the game, but man, when he talked to me yesterday, he said, Riley, I really appreciate you in this game. I really appreciate our friendship. And I don't like Keanu, but that hit me. That hit me deep. I I felt that. And and I know what that means. I don't even know what he's saying, but Riley also mentioned to Katherine the night before that Keanu told him, I was talking to Keanu today, and he said, if I'm in that final two, everyone's gonna vote. Maybe I shouldn't say. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not important. I mean, basically what he said is that if I was in the final two, everyone would vote for me. Uh, but I would want them to vote for you.
I don't think I've ever in my life had such a disconnect with hearing so many people in a game talk about how they just really like someone, and I can't see it. It's like there's a film in front of the screen when I see Riley, and I'm seeing a completely different person than who everyone else is seeing.
So, point being, I think Riley does recognize that Keanu seems dedicated to him. He just doesn't like the guy very much. And so, what does that mean for Riley? Who knows? But certainly, Keanu is the biggest asset that Riley has in the game by a
Yeah.
massive margin. So, he shouldn't want Keanu gone. But in the spot of like Vince versus Morgan, he should want Morgan gone. And should vote Morgan out over Vince. And I think he would be inclined to as well. Morgan, throughout the day, I just don't understand. I just don't understand why everyone's scared of putting like Katherine up. Isn't that so annoying? Like, just because you're gonna piss off Riley, like that's not fair. Like, showmances suck. Like, I don't get why this is like a thing. I would put them up. And it's like, okay, Morgan, where were you? Yes, like last week.
No, rewind. Sorry. Morgan thinks that showmances suck. I'd like her to say that to herself in front of the mirror about 15 more times.
We'll see. We'll see where this goes. Zach also this morning was, when talking with Morgan, was concerned about Ashley. He has noticed that Ashley is treating him differently. So he's concerned that Ashley wants him out.
Maybe you should give her a hug. Oh,
Where's
man.
my hug, Zach?
Oh my god. Ugh. Ugh. Does it matter? Zach, use your power. I want to stop talking about Zach even being a potential for going home. I want him to use his power. I know we can't rush to that. When's the veto ceremony? Monday? No, I mean
Tomorrow.
tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. Great. Yeah, and this does feel like, and it doesn't happen that often, of where we're wondering whether or not someone is going to use their power or not. I guess Mickey's power was the only other one that was kind of more of a toss up, but Um, I don't love like trying to make calculations off of things that we probably won't exist.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to speculate on right now, but the main thing going into today, I should say, is can Katherine be talked into using the veto? Because I really do think that is a distinct possibility, and that changes the entire analysis moving into the veto ceremony, into the eviction. So I think we need to stay tuned on that. There was, again, no progress yesterday on it because there were no conversations about it yesterday. They are planning to have those conversations today. So stay tuned for that. And then tomorrow we'll of course have an update for you at 11 a.m. Eastern to see what happened with all of that, and then probably have a little bit more of a concrete analysis on where the votes might be given the expected veto result.
And honestly, like I think the thing that Katherine needs to be thinking about way more is she needs a real big guarantee from Ava, which she probably would get, that Riley would not go up. I don't think Ava should give that to her, but Ava, again, doesn't know how many potential renoms she might have to do. But because if Ava knew that she might have to renom 2 people, I think she's telling Kat, no, Kat, don't use the veto. I might put Riley up. And then Kat just wouldn't use it. Clean cut. We're good. But I think obviously want to hear Vince and Zach both campaign to Katherine to use the veto. I want to hear how she responds to those. I think the problem is that Ava's going to be like, yeah, Kat, do whatever you want, because she's thinking she's only going to have to read on one person.
Exactly. That's really where the danger is, I think.
Yeah.
Because if Ava pushed, then I think it wouldn't be used. But given that Ava's going to be like, do whatever you want, I'm happy to nominate Morgan, that's really where things could get tricky. So stay tuned for that. Yes.
Sorry. One last question. Are we still pretty locked into the idea that if Ava does have to renominate 2 people, that Lauren would be the second person, or has anyone else moved back up into that place?
As of right now, Lauren, I think, is the top suspect. Especially considering that Katherine wouldn't even be an option, given that she'd have used her veto. It wouldn't be Riley. It wouldn't be, a number of people, I assume. Lauren, I think, is definitely up there. There's a world where she throws up like Ashley. Maybe Mickey's annoying her throughout the day. I don't think she would ever put up Mickey. I think people have talked about that, but I really don't think it would happen. It's just the problem is there's just no real other option. Ashley is obviously the person she was looking to put up coming into the week, just shortly before the week ended before. But she has had so many more conversations with Ashley than with Lauren in terms of like working together, building an alliance, keeping each other safe. She's told Lauren, I want to keep you safe this week.
Yeah.
And so I think if it was going to not be Lauren, it would be because of like a last second, like mix up or like panic mode, or something would have to change during the day today.
And I think it would be weirdly more likely that Ava would put up someone like Mickey or Rachel in a last second mix up kind of thing, or Ashley, rather than Kelly, who I think it's been her line all week. Like, I want it to be fair. Don't want Kelly to go back up. I don't want to see the same people go up multiple times. I want, all that kind of thing. And she kind of can't say that if she puts Kelly back up.
Yeah. And here's exactly what I'm talking about. I forgot Kelly was an option as I was trying to think of it on the spot. And the same might happen to Ava on the spot, thinking, wait, who are my options? And I have faces in front of me just like she will. You know what I mean? So it's like she might just literally forget that some people are options and in the moment and just like make a call. So Lauren seems most likely. Kelly definitely, I think, could be a panic option, but we will have to wait and see on that.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Mary?
No, nothing else. I've gone on long enough. Thanks for hanging out, everybody.
Yes.
Well, good times.
Of course, if you want to check out my book, Behind the Mirror, you can at taranarmstrong.com. And I'll be back tomorrow morning with an update. I'll be live tonight on YouTube and Twitch watching tonight's episode, and then we will be live after the episode here on RHAP for the recap podcast. And then tomorrow night as well, we will have the roundtable. We'll have some interesting new ratings to discuss. So stay tuned for all of I played a very fun couple of rounds of Blood on the Clock Tower yesterday. If you want to check those out over on my YouTube channel, wild second game. So check all of that out. Mary, what do you got going on?
Not much. Mostly just hanging out. So yeah, you can follow me everywhere at Frail Mary or Trail Mary. I'm just taking both now. So follow me everywhere. But otherwise, yeah, just hanging out, watching Big Brother,
I
playing
like
a little
Trail
bit of
Mary.
a yeah.
I like Trail Mary because it makes me think of Trail Mix.
Yes, exactly. Yep. And I'll be playing some Goose Goose Duck later. So feel free to check that out on Puya stream.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us here today. And I will see all of you next time.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.